Good evening and welcome to Uptown Bills. It's Thursday night and it's time for Uptown Bills Live. We got a bunch of good performers this evening for you. Those of you who are here and those of you watching us on PATV Community Channel 18. Uptown Bills is a coffee house, a used bookstore, performance venue, and some other things. It is named for Bill Sachter, who's the man with the beard in the picture behind me. Bill came to Iowa City in the 1970s. He had spent most of his life in a state institution for people with disabilities. And long after he was released, he met Barry Morrow, who's the man on your right in the picture with the tie. And when Barry was offered a job here in Iowa City, Barry, his wife Bev, their little boy, and Bill all came. It was hard to figure out what kind of job Bill could do here. This was a lot smaller town than Minneapolis, and it was a different time too. So they tried different things, tried to see if Bill could drive a truck. Luckily, they were in a cornfield when Bill said, "How do you stop this?" They tried furniture refinishing and almost burnt down North Hall. And ultimately, Bill liked coffee, so Barry said, "How about a coffee shop?" And the original coffee shop actually was a cart about the size of the one with the CDs on it, and Bill would roll it out and say, "The coffee shop is open." Very quickly, it moved into the room it's in now in North Hall. North Hall was once a school, a K-12 school, and the coffee shop is located in what was originally the kindergarten classroom. And the reading circle is still on the floor, and the little cubbies for your blankie and teddy are there, and some other features too. But that's where the coffee shop started and still is now. Barry thought, well, this is working out really well, so I'm going to write a story about what happened. The story became a movie, and the picture behind me is a promotional picture for what was the first of two movies. Mickey Rooney played Bill. He's in the middle there. And up in the corner, yep, that's Dennis Quaid. And he played Barry in the film. And suddenly Bill became a celebrity. And one of the things we're giving away tonight is a copy of a biography of Bill called The Unlikely Celebrity, written by a retired professor at the University of Iowa. So we're glad you're here. I want to start off tonight. There was a column about Bill and about us in the Quad City Times last week. Last week was the anniversary of Bill's death. He died June 16th, 1983. And one of the people who came to his funeral was Bill Wundrum, who then and now is a columnist for the Quad City Times. So he wrote a nice little column I would like to read to you. Years fly by like the pages of a calendar. Still, it doesn't seem right that Bill Sachter of Iowa City has been dead this long. It was 34 years ago this month since his death. Diagnosed as a slow learner as a child, he had been confined 44 years in a Minnesota mental institution until released, and then he came to Iowa City. There, he ran a coffee shop, used bookstore, and a hangout that was a favorite among University of Iowa students. All of this became a popular made-for-TV movie starring veteran character actor Mickey Rooney. Sachter died June 16, 1983, at his home, age 70, sitting in his favorite chair. He was dressed for work. Dressed to go to work at the Iowa City coffee shop that still carries his name. Bill's death was big news, not just in Iowa City, but around the country. An account of his life and death was on the front page of the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. And there was an obituary in the New York Times. The Washington Post, the Quad City Times, and many other newspapers, large and small, carried the story of his paradoxical life. Here's an excerpt from a story about Bill's death, which appeared in the Philadelphia Inquirer. Bill, the mildly retarded coffee shop proprietor who inspired Mickey Rooney to win an Emmy for portrayal of his life on television and brought tears and wistful smiles to millions of Americans, has died in Iowa City. I once visited Sachter at his coffee shop, Bill writes. He was always cheerful, ready with advice to students on any subject. I remember his greeting on my visit. "Hey, isn't it a beautiful day? You look so nice in that bow tie." Among the 300 or so people who attended Bill's funeral was Jan Rooney, Mickey's wife. The actor was unable to attend. She was a tall, flashy woman who must have been about half of Mickey's age. One of her high heels got stuck in the dirt, and she leaned on me to get the shoe out of the ground. I explained to her that I was a newsman and wanted a few words. She didn't want to talk, but she was friendly and said to me, "You're about Mick's size." That was true. The Washington Post quoted from a column I had written about Bill's funeral. Quote, "It was the first funeral I ever attended where there was warm laughter and the mourners were clapping and swaying through their tears." Barry Morrow, the Academy Award-winning writer of the film Rain Man and the screenwriter for the Sachter film, flew from Hollywood to give a eulogy at Bill's funeral. He said, "God must have needed a really good harmonica player." Tom Gilsonen, that's me, who fed the material for this column, and said that in true Midwestern fashion, mourners gathered for a lunch at Bill's coffee shop after the funeral. He quotes my column about that, the incongruity of serving sweet and sour pork at a Jewish funeral. Someone had noticed this too and went out to buy quiche. Alas, the quiche had ham in it. That's his column from last week. I think Bill now is the longest running columnist in the country. And I don't know if he has, the two really long-time ones were Herb Cain at the San Francisco Chronicle and Jack Smith at the Los Angeles Times. And I don't know if he has exceeded them in a number of years. They both have died, but he's still writing 2 or 3 times a week. And he was kind enough to notice that anniversary. All right, we're going to get started with Terry tonight, who's bringing a new guitar. This may be something we have to worry about because he's been acquiring various stringed instruments at a rapid clip.
Very rapid.
That's for you.
Is it okay if I use this mighty fine stool right here? Mixer over there. How you guys doing tonight? All right. My name's Terry, and this is my ghost band. Right on. The spirit moves me, buddy. I'm getting ready here. You know, one of the best things about having a ghost band is they never run up the bar tab. Plenty of room in the car when we go places. One of the worst things about having a ghost band is the women are still more interested in the ghost band than they are in me. What's up with that? have time, but there's no waiting. Wait for me, and your time is fleeting. The age is within me. I am to be living or it existed, but I'm eternal. Thank you. That's the Ghost Band Jam. I was talking with my friends the other day, and he asked me if I hang out with the Ghost Band all the time. I'm like, yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I want to hang out with the Ghost Band? You guys are cool. He says, well, I mean, you guys go out to dinner and, you know, shopping, to go with guys to the movies? I'm like, yeah, we do all that. He says, do you guys ever sneak into the movies? I'm like, dude, that would be really awkward if we got caught. You know, me sneaking in a bunch of Ghost Band members. I'd have a lot of explaining to do. That's no bueno. There's just some things I just won't do, okay? I'm a rebel, but I don't sneak Ghost Bands into the movie theaters. She stands on the banks of the mighty Mississippi, alone in the pale moonlight, waiting for a man, a riverboat gambler, said he would return that night. They used to waltz on the banks of the mighty Mississippi, loving the whole night through. He was a riverboat gambler, off to make a killing and bring it back home to you. Evangeline curses the soul of that Mississippi queen that pulled her man away. Bayou Sam from South Louisiana had gambling in his veins. Evangeline from Maritime was slowly going insane. High on the top of a hickory hill, she stood in the lightning and thunder. Down on the river, the boat was a-sinking. She watched that queen go under. Evangeline. Yours is the soul of that Mississippi queen that pulled her man away. That pulled her man away. That pulled her man away. Thank you. That was Evangeline by The Band. I have one more for you. You know, I don't like to get political or anything. Okay, yeah, I do. No, I don't. Well, you know, I'm very passionate about politics, but I don't really state which way, you know, I lean. But, you know, I've been listening to the news, and they're talking about building that wall again. I guess that's all right. I don't like walls, except for like around my bedroom and bathroom and stuff. You know, you need walls around that. You know, it just ain't pretty anymore. You gotta hide the stuff. So, but I was thinking, you know, if we keep out some of the illegal immigrants and some of the people that are just documented workers, we're going to be losing out on a lot of jobs here in America. So I have an idea. I'm thinking about, oh, this is just, okay, just go with me on this. What I'm thinking about is smuggling Canadians from over the border, from our northern border. Okay, now think about it. You know, it's like there's no walls up there. Nobody's suspecting people smuggling in Canadians. And, well, I never hear of any financial crises in their country, so they're probably good cashiers. And they never start any wars, so they're probably good in customer service, too. Okay, well, it's just a theory I'm working on, of course, you know, but we gotta have some of those workers, you know, the ones that we're going to keep out of America. Just go with me. Canadians, cashiers, no wars. I'd like to do a shout out to a couple ex-Valley girls out in California. Shari, she's in Mendocino. Hi, Shari. And her sister, Felicia Satin, in heaven. And I just wanted to say hi to them. They both like Chris Christopherson, so I'm going to play some Chris Christopherson for them. I have seen the morning burning golden on the mountains in the sky. Aching with the feeling of the freedom of the eagle as she flies. Turning on the world the way she smiled upon my soul as I lay dying. Healing with the colors of the sunshine and the shadows of her eyes. Waking in the morning to the feeling of her fingers on my skin. Wiping out the traces of the people and places that I've been. Telling me that yesterday was something that I never thought of trying. Talking about tomorrow and the money, love, and time we had to spend. Coming close together with a feeling that I've never known before. In my time, she ain't afraid to be a woman or afraid to be a friend. I don't know the answers to the easy way she opened up every door in my mind. But dreaming was as easy as believing it was never going to end. Loving her was easier than anything I'll ever do again. Yeah, loving her was easier than anything I'll ever do again. Loving her was easier than anything I'll ever do again. Thank you. I'm Terry, and this was my ghost band.
Thank you. When you started talking about the wall, I thought we were going to get that old country hit, Hello Wall. Yeah, but I guess not. So we do this every Thursday night. We start at 7. If you are interested in performing, you can sign up. Unfortunately, we're full for next week already, but there's a sign-up sheet for the week following up on the side of the pop cooler. Also up there is our spoken word sign-up sheet. We have spoken word on the first Wednesday of each month. And this month, that will be July the 5th, this coming month. So, yes, we're open on the 4th of July, by the way. So come on down, we'll have some treats, open till 6 p.m. And then, like the rest of you, we're going to go out in search of the perfect fireworks. We also have music other nights of the week. We have music every Saturday. This Saturday, it's Dave Moore. We'll be here at 7 o'clock. An incredible performer who always says such nice things about performing at Uptown Bill's. So he'll be here. It's always a treat for me because I first heard him on the radio when I was living in California, like 30 years ago, and he was on Prairie Home Companion. And, you know, Prairie Home Companion comes on around dinner time, and so we'd be getting ready for dinner, and there would be Dave Moore in my ear. And now he's right here. It's just amazing. We also have a concert on Sunday featuring a British indie folk singer who's touring the U.S., who goes by the name Enny, E-N-N-Y, Enny Owl. And she'll be joined by a local group, Pigs and Clover, and also by a guy who goes by the name Northcutt. So that's Sunday, early show, that's at 6 o'clock. Now, if you're already confused about what's going on, we have a calendar over by the door there. And you can pick up a copy and take that with you. If you're watching us on television, you can go to our website, uptownbills.org, and check out some of the things coming up. Right now, the calendar has an envelope attached to it. It's our 16th anniversary, and we're having a little fun drive. We opened up July 1st, 2001. So 16 years this Saturday. Pretty amazing that we're still here. Anyway, when you think of all the things that happened along the way. But we're here, and in part thanks to you. So this is one of the times during the year when we turn to people and say, gosh, we'd love a donation. All right, we've got Joey next, and he's been cooking up some poetry for us tonight. And after Joey, we have Mercedes. All right? You're still on? Okay. That's right, I'm not supposed to talk directly to you. I talk to your agent, right? Okay. Would you like to stand, or?
No, I'll try and stand. I'll do that. Just set it right there. All right. Okay, so how is everybody tonight? Man, I need to get myself an agent. I should, but later. Anyway, okay, so I got some poetry to read tonight. Everybody can hear me, right? Yep. Okay. All right, this first poem wrote about someone on my mind, someone I know, a raven-haired girl. So that's the title of the poem. Raven-haired girl, you walk by me with a frown so down that I wish you would dish what is going on in that raven-haired mind. The wind whispers in your ear from behind to remind you to untwine your mind and soul from the depression of oppression that afflicts your whole soul. Raven-haired girl, I am on your side. Please abide my time, for you see, I can't pry my eyes from what hides in that raven-haired mind. The water flows slowly in front of you to remind you of winter? No. But it knows your happiness is low. How does it know of your tears of woe? By the blank stare that is not a Care Bear stare. Yeah, I went dorky there. So, okay. Anyway, raven-haired girl, please don't cry and try to see. The world may have many flaws, but the world also has many joys that will give you pause. The world is not always winter, my dear. Now come close to the fire you desire. Don't mind the splinters, for you have the love of many, my dove, for you are my raven-haired girl. That's it for that one. So, this next poem, now, if any of you are supporters of a certain individual, I shall not name him. I apologize in advance, because this poem is about him. And actually, I wrote this yesterday before all the stuff that was occurring this morning happened. So, not claiming I'm Nostradamus, just coincidence. And the working title for this is The Tweet He Commands. The abnormal Cheshire cat sits at his desk, wearing clothes not fit for his rotund frame, but yet they are not tight. They are loose around his shame of a frame, as if a troublesome child is trying to wear his father's business suit. To deceive the masses, he is a grown-up. His abnormal paw taps his borrowed desk. One tap becomes two taps. Then 3 taps. Tap, 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 tap. His obsessive tapping becomes so rapid, it is as if a woodpecker is creating a nest in his desk. The only item on this borrowed desk is not a picture, not a book, or not even a business planner. No. It is a phone that contains the blue bird of many songs, but our Cheshire cat has taught this bird to play a melody of nonsense and lies. Of course, like any Cheshire cat, he has a grin, but don't be fooled. For that grin is a mask that hides his rage and insecurity. And it wants to leak out of every pore of his enlarged, rotund face, just like the sweat that drips from his face to the desk. His beady yellow eyes stare at his phone. They were mean to him again. His insecurity, the constructive criticism is mean to his insecure ego. He was warned by his owners not to troll, to retaliate, to spread his love. But no one is around. They never are this late at night. His grin grows larger as the abnormally small paw circles his portal to the masses. Time to spread my love, for the tweet commands it. And that's it. So I have one more poem tonight. I actually wrote this one within 30 minutes before we get started here. So if you thought that was a rough draft, this is a very rough draft. I mean, extremely raw, so I hope you enjoy. Red eyes. I exit the cave, and a cold wave splashes me with a bold realization to my situation, a situation that I never thought would come to pass. As I stare at the mass of night and snow, dancing that would be their last waltz, perhaps. I am at the top of the mountain of metal, but my joy is unsettled, because I remember why I came to this depressing rock. And that is to tame the red-eyed man of the flame. He is of great acclaim, as he is in the Hall of Fame. But where is the fiery legend? He is nowhere to be seen. I overcame so much in this video game of life, only to stare at this dark abyss that taunts my shattered dream. I turn to leave, but gasp. A sudden sound breaks my train of thought. It pierces the cold night with a bold, authoritarian and a sudden chill hits my soul as I stare at the two red eyes at the top of a small hill. What courage I had has fled to the warmth of the cave as the red eyes pry into my whole soul. Funny, his eyes are bright, like dancing flames, yet no charcoal is required to fuel his desire. Do I dare to challenge this legend, whose glare can burn any mortal that comes too close? Yes, I dare. I take one step, and then two, closing the gap ASAP. I still feel fear in my rear. He stands there, motionless, just staring at me, not caring for who I am. I am just a number to add to his record. Was that thunder I hear? No, it is my heart, colliding with my throat. We are face to face. The snow dances around us. Can't talk today. Shuddering for our confrontation on this station of ice. Yet I don't feel the ice, for I feel nothing but flames of determination from the red-eyed man who made this mountain his home. I may lose, but I won't fail, because my determination is brighter than his. I smile. Let's dance, red eyes. And there you go. As I said, real raw, but hopefully you come by a later time, you'll see a more finished out and polished out poem. So thank you, and have a good night. Tip your waitress.
All right, thank you. Why don't we have our drawing giveaway? Got a couple of books to give away. Who's got the basket? All right. Helping us out tonight, Ayana, who's coming up now, Maya, and Emily. So, yay. All right, we got two books to give away. One is called Optical Illusions. I know you've got your eye on this one, right? Huh? And then, thank you, a couple people laughed. The Unlikely Celebrity, which is the biography of Bill Sachter. Okay, so we want to pick one, and let's see, we'll give away Optical Illusions first. Drum roll. Suspense. I can't read it, it's upside down. Oh, okay. Noah. There you go, optical illusions. Okay, and now for the Bill Sachter biography. Ayanna, by the way, is here as part of the YES Summer Youth Employment Program. This, yes, yes. This has its origins actually in the 1960s. 1968, there was a summer youth employment program started. I was actually in that as a summer youth. That summer I worked at a playground in Minneapolis, and my job was to get out the playground stuff. It was at a school, and get out the playground things that summer. And it continues on in a variety of ways in different cities. Here, it's the county that organizes it, and there are about 30 of you, right, around the city, different places. And it's much more thoughtfully organized now. One of the really cool things is that at the end of the day, once a week, people get together in groups and talk about jobs and work and what to do if you get angry at someone, all kinds of good stuff. All right, are we ready? We got it thoroughly stirred up, whatever you call that. Stella the cat.
Yes! Woohoo! That's the
Don't-
third book she's won.
Don't we have some kind of rule about animals?
I'm teaching my cat how to read. This is her third book.
All right, thank you very much. I noticed that Stella has the same middle name as Smokey the Bear.
That's right.
So, okay. Thank you very much. All right, let's see. Mercedes is ready. She's coming up next here. And it will be a cappella to us, but she'll have something in her ear, right? Is that how we're going to do this?
Yes.
Do you need anything else? Okay, a little courage. All right. Terry dispenses courage to people. So, and now I understand you're moving away. Maybe I should ask you about that afterwards. Where to?
Back to my hometown.
Which is Keokuk. Okay, nice river town. All right, come on up and take it away.
I'm going to sing Unsteady by Expassadors. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Mama, I come here, approach, appear. Daddy, I'm alone, 'cause this house don't feel like home. But if you love me, don't let go. Oh. But if you love me, don't let go. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little Mama, I know that you're tired of feeling alone. Dad, I know you're trying to fight when you feel like flying. But if you love me, don't let go. Whoa. But if you love me, don't let go. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady. Hold on to me, 'cause I'm a little unsteady, a little unsteady.
Thank you very much. Let's see, why don't we have our question? Emily's has been collecting answers to tonight's question. And then Joe is next. He'll be coming up. I think you're reading something from your soon-to-be published book. Maybe he'll have more information about when it will be published. All right.
All right, so the question tonight was, what are some things you'd like to accomplish in your life? First one we have is, find peace and happiness. I will get closer to God, do His will and right. Meet the love of my life. Travel and get in shape. Have a family, be wealthy, lead a successful life. See my daughter graduate from Iowa and retire. Raise more foster children and open a nonprofit children's art therapy program. And those were our questions for tonight.
Your parents are here. Yeah. Do you want to introduce them?
Yeah, these are my parents in the back.
All right, we can't see. I'm sorry you can't see that on television. We can't swing the camera around for that, but they are here. So just take our word for it. We've got Joe next here, and what would you like? A chair? Yes. You got two shoes on. Yes. Hey. Is that a sign?
The reason Tom was commenting on shoes that match is I'm having a series of surgeries on my toes. My parents never could straighten me out, so my orthopedic surgeon thought he'd like to take a crack at it. This is the 5th chapter in a novel I've written entitled Skip Day, and it's about a day in 1959 in Enid, Oklahoma, when the seniors at the high school got to take the day off from studies. But before they could do that, they had to assemble for a parade and parade around the square. And for this parade and Skip Day, our hero, Joe Ralston, has rented a hearse from the local funeral home. And he and his buddies have covered it with graffiti. And they drive out to Meadow Lake Park, where the students are treated to miniature golf, and of all things that high school seniors could ever want is a ride on the Kiwanis Club's kiddie train. But the guy who's supposed to run it is the school district's truant officer, and he's busy schmoozing the principal and the new superintendent of schools. And so Joe Ralston decides he's going to steal the train, and he goes up to the cabin, and he checks it out, and he figures out it's pretty simple to run. So he does steal the train, and but the truant officer catches up with him, and Joe comes back, and a bunch of rowdy people, most of them football players, pick up the student body president and the senior class president and throw them into Meadow Lake, and then they go after Joe and they throw him into Meadow Lake, and and Joe comes out of the lake with pond scum all over him and stuff like that. Anyway, he's pulled out of the pond by a friend of his named Bob Wendy Winslow, and Wendy wants to hang out with Joe and his buddies, who are all members of the Sooner Rocket Society. And this is 1959, you know, when Sputnik had gone off, and students were encouraged to major in science. And so now they've discussed what they're going to do that afternoon, because Joe, Bob, and Don Mackey, Joe's friend, they've all got to go to work at 5 o'clock. And here's chapter 5. Don crawled into Bob's 1947 navy blue DeSoto, and they followed Joe in the hearse as he dropped Jack off at his house. He had decided to go swimming at Great Salt Plains Lake, as Jack expressed it, to check out the chicks. Jack's got an enormous sex drive. Then Joe drove around the corner to his own house. He parked the hearse in the shade of elm trees on Ferguson Street. The shade could keep the sun from baking the white shoe polish on that black finish, Joe thought. He leaped over his mother's flower bed onto the front porch. While standing, he took off his muddy shoes. He opened the front door in his wet socks and walked back through the kitchen into his bedroom. His mother came in and saw that his clothes were wet and covered with pond scum. "What happened to you?" she asked, laughing. "Some guys threw me, the student body president, and the class president into Meadow Lake," Joe replied as he sat and pulled off his socks. "What'd you throw you in for?" "Being editor of the Quill." That's the high school's biweekly newspaper. Jane Ralston laughed. "Well, and the hearse," Joe added as he removed his shirt. Jane Ralston's laughter crescendoed. "Wow, what a memory. I wish I had been there with my movie camera." She closed the kitchen door so her son could have some privacy as he continued undressing. Jane had been a working mother from 1931, when she and Dave started a furniture store, until 1951, when her mother, Olivia Kelly, had become an invalid. Then they sold the store so Jane could coordinate her mother's round-the-clock care. She took advantage of the situation to become more of a mother to her 3 children. John, now a reporter for the Daily Oklahoman in Oklahoma City, Joe, and Debbie. Jane had been born and raised on a farm outside Hillsdale, a town north of Enid. She had been an only child. She had a riotous sense of humor and had always had many friends. When she went to Phillips University in Enid in 1924, her parents rented the farm and moved to a house across Main Street from where the rest of her family lived, and 6 blocks from the Phillips campus. She majored in art, so when she and Dave started the store, it was natural she became its interior decorator. She had been the freewheeling, fun-loving artist, and David watched the money carefully. The oscillating balance between them had contributed to the store's success. She had worked so hard at the store that she felt she missed out on most of John's high school years, so she was determined to be around for Joe and Debbie. She still received countless calls from women who wanted her to consult on redecorating their homes. After a quick shower, Joe changed into his work clothes, a short-sleeved plaid shirt and gray wash pants with an Ivy League belt in the back. As he strolled through the kitchen, his mother asked him, "What are you going to do now?" "I'm going to the movies with Don Mackey, Larry Stutzman, and Bob Winslow." "Well, that's an interesting combination." That's because 2 of the guys are nerds and one of them's a jock. "Yeah, I think I got Bob interested in an art other than hitting curveballs." As he crossed into the lit dining room, he called over his shoulder, "Don't worry, Mom, we're going in Bob's car so you can have the boat for the rest of the day." That's her 1952 green Packard. Jane smiled and shook her head. Joe strode across the living room, opened the front door, leaped through it, slammed it shut, ran across the front porch, and leaped over the garden. He got back into Bob's car, and the three drove east on Main Street, turned north onto 18th Street, turned west onto Randolph, and headed downtown. They entered the theater just as the feature was starting. Joe, Don, and Larry all laughed at the comic moments. Occasionally, Bob laughed, too. Joe noticed that when Maurice Chevalier and Hermione Gingold sang their duet, yes, I remember it well, all the boys laughed, but Bob just shook his head. Joe had thought the film might give him an opportunity to know Bob better, but he could tell by his squirming that he was not particularly enjoying the experience. As they left the theater, Joe asked him, "So what did you think of it?" "I've never seen anything like it," Bob replied. "I think I'd like to bring Karen and see it again." Karen Perkins was his girlfriend. They had been going together for more than a year. She was a junior. Bob had mentioned once to Joe that they planned to marry when she graduated from high school. Joe and Don were just a few blocks from work, so they left Bob at his car. "Don't forget to come to my house for the party when you get off work," Don called out. "We're going to have plenty to drink. Bring Karen with you." "I'll be there, but Karen's got to work," Bob replied. "After what's been happening to me, I could use a few drinks." He got into his car and drove away, leaving Joe to wonder what he meant. Don strolled east across the courthouse lawn to the Sooner Theater. Joe walked down the alley south to Broadway to the News and Eagle building, a chocolate-brown brick edifice built before World War I. He entered the first floor. He smiled at the olive-skinned, black-haired woman behind the counter. She quickly looked at him and then back at the clipped ads she was sorting. He waved to Slick Rogers, the advertising manager who announced stock car races every Friday and Saturday evenings at the Garfield County Fairgrounds during the summer. "Are you going to drive that hearse in the races this weekend?" Slick called to Joe. Joe shook his head. Slick laughed. Behind the advertising and circulation offices were the print shop and the press room. Joe climbed the long flight of stairs to the editorial offices 2 steps at a time. He arrived on the second floor several minutes before 5, so he had just enough time to look up Jack Weaver's word, desiccate, before he started work. Weaver's the assistant principal, and he said he was going to desiccate Joe Ralston for bringing that hearse into the parade. He opened the Webster's Second International Dictionary to the D's and ran his finger down the page. Reading the definition, Joe thought, "Boy, Mr. Weaver must be really upset with me if he wants to dry out my body." "You and your crazy hearse with all the kids in it are on page 3, Bill Edison told him. They had tried to see how many high school students they could stuff into the hearse. This was a craze back in the late 50s when they tried to see how many people they could stuff into a telephone booth. "You and your crazy hearse with all..." Oh, I read that already. "Joe Ralston, you idiot," cried the night city editor Bill Holman. "What the hell are you going to pull off next?" "Why don't you take that photo and put it on page 1 for tomorrow," Joe shouted back. "That's exactly what I'm going to do," Holman shot back, "only it's going to be a different one, and it's going to be 4 columns wide, but below the fold. I don't want it to be too prominent. After all, the News is a family newspaper." That remark sent people in the newsroom into giggles. Ken Rollins, the sports editor, and his steady lady Carolyn Lemon, the society editor, came to Joe and patted him on the back. "You really have this town talking," Carolyn said. "Some folks say that hearse is the biggest thing to hit Enid since the bandit Dick Yeager died in the Garfield County jail," Ken said. "And you know who wrote that story, don't you?" Joe blushed, looked at the floor, and said, "Marquis James." James, who had grown up in Enid, had twice won the Pulitzer Prize for history. "I have an assignment for you," Carolyn told him. "It's a baby shower for someone I think you know, Sharon Schichting." Joe heaved a sigh. "Do you know her?" Carolyn asked. "Yeah, she's one of my classmates, but I think she's throwing her life away on some dud. But she's pregnant, so what can anyone do?" "Well, be that as it may," she continued, "keep your feelings to yourself. Instead of just standing the participants up in a row, could you get me an action shot with wrapping paper and ribbons flying in the air like you did when you caught those boys wrestling on the ground in Government Springs Park? Don't show much of the honoree's belly. Like Bill said, this is a family newspaper. Bounce the flash off the ceiling so you don't get any of those nasty shadows. Come to think of it, also line them up and shoot them. I don't know if Mr. Gerber is ready for the society page to be that radical." Morris Gerber was the editor of the News and Eagle. His father, old Judge Gerber, had bought the papers for pennies on the dollar during the Depression when the previous owners went broke. The members of the Gerber family were Republicans. Joe had come from a long line of Democrats. His mother had told him when she was 10 years old before she learned that blackleg and Republican were two different words. Like his father, Joe had reached the point where he could consider a Republican to be an honest, sensitive person. I still think Republicans have all been improperly toilet trained, Jane Ralston told him. Joe thought she had learned about Sigmund Freud's theories on personality disorders from reading articles in the Ladies' Home Journal. Although Gerber nodded occasionally in greeting to Joe, he never spoke directly to him or to any News and Eagle staff below the rank of editor. He rarely even spoke to Ken. Instead, he preferred to communicate through his managing editor, Arthur Dutch Schmaus. Unlike Gerber, who tended to stay in his office in the corner of the newsroom, Schmaus had his on the west side of the newsroom where he saw and heard everything. Although he removed his coat when he entered the newsroom and sat down at his desk, he left his battered tan fedora on his head. He simultaneously smoked and chewed black stogies. Their odor reminded Joe of the times on his father and grandfather's farms when they burned wet wheat stubble. Schmaus caught Joe's eyes and waved him over to his desk. "Joe," he said in his gravelly voice, "I want you to think about going to Phillips next year and continuing to work here. All the guys here, Mr. Gerber included, think you're the best man we've had in this job in a long time. And by the time you finish, we could turn you into a first-class newsman, maybe even better than your brother John." Joe winced. All his life, his teachers had compared him to his brother John, who had attended Phillips University and the University of Oklahoma and served in the Army before joining the Daily Oklahoman. Joe was glad his brother was a success, but he wanted to go to a place where people weren't always comparing them. After drawing a deep breath, he said, "Well, gee, Mr. Schmaus, that's mighty nice of you, but I'm still considering my options, including OU and some schools out of state." He remembered that Nobel Prizes were not given to journalists. "You could do a lot worse than Phillips," Schmaus said. "I went there. So did your mom, your high school principal, most of your teachers and coaches, and even your mentor Ken over there on the sports desk." Ken had given him his break with the news. He had taught Joe how to use a camera. Ken had needed Joe to teach him about football, for Ken was the son of medical missionaries in India. He had only played soccer, basketball, and cricket growing up. Phillips fielded teams in basketball and baseball, but had not fielded a football team since the 1930s. Gerber had even hired Casey Kohlrabi, a former sports writer for the news and now a television executive, to write the story for the first Plainsman home football game. Ken had proved in his rewrites of that game and writing stories about away games that he listened to on the radio that he could adequately describe the sport, but he often let Joe read his copy. They had become close friends. Schmaus's eyes were screwed tight with concentration. Joe tried to tell him that he didn't want to attend Phillips, but he decided he would wait until later, maybe September, to tell him his plans. Jane Ralston had told him many times what a wonderful experience she had had at Phillips. She regularly went to the campus for art exhibitions, musical productions, and Professor Earl Oberg's annual reading of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. John had tried the campus for a year, but had nothing good to say about its emphasis on Christian morality. Moreover, Joe felt as though he had no privacy needed. He wanted to disappear into a big city. He wanted to be an intellectual, grow a beard, start smoking a pipe, and be away from big-time